This week in Jamaica Now, McLean gets 6 life sentences for the 2006 murder of half a dozen family members. And the police have launched a top-level probe into claims while awaiting trial he left a high-security facility 19 times to have sex at Kingston guest houses. Why a Jamaican beauty queen was released from U.S. jail after just 2 years on drug charges. Keith Clark murder trial halted over immunity granted by Peter Bunting in 2016. Crisis at the Cornwall Regional Hospital, the health minister says sorry. Trinidad court rules that the buggery law is not legal. And worshippers and revellers clash as Carnival takes over Kingston. I'm Damian Mitchell and this is Jamaica Now. A high-level police probe has started into reports that while awaiting trial, murder convict McLean left his high-security prison on 19 occasions to have sex at several guest houses in Kingston. On Thursday, the 51-year-old St. Thomas businessman was given 6 life sentences for the 2006 slaughtering of 6 members of a St. Thomas family. He is to spend 60 years behind bars before he becomes eligible for parole. However, given the 12 years already spent in custody, McLean is to spend another 48 years before he may be granted parole. Throughout his murder trial, McLean repeatedly requested to speak with officials at the Independent Commission of Investigations, saying he wanted to hand over proof that he was able to leave the prison while awaiting trial. In the United States, Jamaican beauty queen Marsha Gay Reynolds this week left a U.S. jail following 2 years in custody after a judge sentenced her to time already served on drug conviction. She had faced 10 years in prison, but the judge cited her crucial testimony in the prosecution of her supplier, Jamaican drug dealer Gaston Brown, saying without her help, prosecutors would have had a far more difficult time convicting Brown in February. Reynolds, the second runner-up in the 2008 Miss Jamaica World competition, was working as a JetBlue flight attendant when she was arrested for attempting to smuggle almost 70 pounds of cocaine through the Los Angeles International Airport. She was stopped during a random screening and fled, leaving the drug behind. Reynolds later surrendered to police at the JFK airport in New York. The family of slain businessman Keith Clark has vowed to keep fighting until the 3 soldiers accused of killing him are placed on trial for murder. The trial was halted this week after the Jamaica Defense Force attorney produced certificates of immunity granted to the soldiers by Peter Bunting while he was National Security Minister in 2016. Justice Glenn Brown has asked that the matter be again called up in September. In the meantime, the defense attorney is to take the matter to the full court to test the validity of the certificates of immunity. Corporal Odell Buckley, Lance Corporal Greg Tingling, and Private Arnold Henry have been charged with the murder of Keith Clark at his Kirkland Close St. Andrew home during the state of emergency in May 2010. Clark received 20 shots to his back. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton has said sorry for the health crisis affecting staff and patients at the Cornwall Regional Hospital in St. James. Staff members have been reporting grave complications because of noxious fumes and other irritants in the building, parts of which have since been evacuated for repairs. In the meantime, Tufton has rejected allegations by the opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Dayton Campbell, that the authorities kept hospital staff working in areas infested with mold without taking any action. The Trinidad and Tobago Constitutional Court has ruled that the buggery law is not legal. High Court Judge Devendra Rampasad handed down the ruling on Thursday in a case brought in March 2017 by an LGBT activist, Jason Jones. She declared Sections 13 and 16 of the Sexual Offences Act unconstitutional, null and void, where they criminalize any consensual sexual conduct between adults. Jones had argued that Section 13 of the Act, which criminalizes anal sex, is unconstitutional because it violates his right to privacy, liberty, and freedom of expression. The final ruling will be handed down in 3 months. In the meantime, LGBT groups in the Republic have started the celebrations amid the ruling, but Christian groups have been saddened. Carnival revelers flooded the streets of the corporate area on Sunday, reigniting clashes with the church. Service had to be suspended at the Webster Memorial Church as loud music made it impossible to hear what was going on. At the King's Sanctuary at the Campion College, the chatter of Exodus revelers drowned out the sounds of the gospel music. Carnival reveler JHEANELL Stephenson, who was visiting Jamaica from Atlanta, did not see a conflict.
Road march and church is not always going to agree, but the Lord said, what did the Lord say?
The Lord said that...
Come as you are.
Come as you are.
Come as you are.
All right.
And here we are, out here.
Okay. So you're just going to ask God for guidance as you walk on the road?
Yes, guidance. He's always covering you. He's always here with you, always. So there's no one day reserved for God. Every day is for him.
Bailiffs have evicted disbarred attorney Harold Brady from his rental home in Cherry Gardens, St. Andrew. This comes more than 8 months after lawyers for the owners of the 4-bedroom property went to court and obtained an eviction order for outstanding rent totaling $65,000 or about 7.8 million Jamaican dollars. The owners of the property were also granted an order for the seizure and sale of Brady's goods, but it is unclear whether the items removed from the house would be confiscated by the bailiffs. Brady avoided eviction last November when Oswald Sharia, the bailiff for the Supreme Court, and a team went to the upscale home to enforce the court order. That eviction was aborted after Brady paid part of the outstanding rent. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. You may tune in to Power 106 FM for regular updates. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. I'm Damian Mitchell, and before we go, Carnival 2018, full-sized women defend their space.
I chose this costume because I love my body and how I look. That's it. I know I look good. No one has to tell me that. Because I have my body positive campaign, I have to be an example for other women. Mass is not just for somebody of a certain size. Mass is for everybody.
I believe that everybody has to know what fits them properly. You know what I mean? So I don't think a thick woman should try to probably fit into something that a size 0 should fit in, but I think there's a place for everybody in Carnival.
Everybody should feel comfortable. There's so many different options. There's monokini, there's bikinis, there's shorts, there's t-shirts, so it doesn't matter because it's about things.
Oh, I love the fluffy girls. I came all the way from Atlanta to be with you. You're soft, you're pretty, you're dancing. Hey! So I need a little meat on my bones. I'm a country boy. I need a little meat, a little thigh, a little ham hock. I love it. I love it.
Of course, it's beautiful!
I drink the rum last night and I fall in love. Now I'm thanking God for waking me up. I'm waking up.